Hey everyone, it's Pastor Dave, and thanks for checking out this 5 Minutes of Hope for today, Friday, March 27th. An absolutely beautiful day. The sun is shining, it's very warm out there, and hope you've had a chance to enjoy this weather in some way, shape, or form. As you can see in the background, I'm at my house right now. In fact, I'm wearing my awesome painting shirt right here, so getting some house projects done. Wrapping up some painting here in the kitchen and the dining room. And so just a great time with all this extra time we find ourselves with to hopefully do some of these projects, and hopefully you're enjoying not only the weather, but maybe some of this bonus time that God has blessed us with during this unique time. And so today we're continuing, and we're going to wrap up our theme of looking through the Bible and certain disasters and catastrophes. Certainly there's more than the ones that we've looked at, but we want to at least start things out with this theme, looking at how God's people have faced adversity in some way, shape, or form, and how we see God's hand in that, and also as we see how God's people responded to those things. And so for these initial 5 minutes of hope, we've looked at the 10 plagues, we've looked at the flood, we looked at Elijah and the drought, we've looked at the Psalms, and yesterday we looked at Jesus and the Tower of Siloam, and today we're going to wrap up by looking at Paul, the Apostle Paul, and his shipwreck. And so this comes at the very end of the book of Acts. And so Paul is a prisoner. He's on his way to Rome, and he's on this boat. And he actually advises the crew not to go the way they're going, because he had prophesied that if they went that way, that they would be shipwrecked. And of course, that turns out to be the case. But he says that he had a vision from an angel that on the way, not only would there be a storm, but there would also be, like I said, a shipwreck. But he did say none of their lives would be lost. And so he was able to comfort them in the midst of the storm, in the midst of their potential shipwreck. And eventually, in the storm, as it comes, they are shipwrecked. But again, as Paul had prophesied, no lives were lost. But then what's interesting is when they get to shore, they run into the natives of the island. And Paul actually has an opportunity. And let me read to you this account. So it's from Acts 28. So after they've shipwrecked, it says, now in the neighborhood of that place were lands belonging to the chief man of the island named Publius, who received us and entertained us hospitably for 3 days. It happened that the father of Publius lay sick with a fever and dysentery, and Paul visited him and prayed, and putting his hands on him, healed him. And when this had taken place, the rest of the people on the island who had diseases also came and were cured. They also honored us greatly, and when we were ready to sail, they put on board whatever we needed. And so it's interesting we see here, and actually if you keep going in Acts 28, when Paul does get to Rome, he is able to proclaim the gospel, the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And as has been the pattern with Paul's missionary work, some heard and believed, others did not believe. But here, especially with the shipwreck, we see, again, something incredible happen. And in fact, it says that right after the shipwreck, the crew had wanted to kill the prisoners, but the head of the ship actually stopped them because he wanted to save Paul's life. And so we see not only with his interaction with the crew, but also the interaction with the natives, that in the midst of this tragedy, in the midst of the trauma, in the midst of this shipwreck, Paul is able to shine the light of the gospel in very profound ways, and people are able to hear the gospel, they're able to respond to the gospel, and they're able to see God's grace and mercy and love. And throughout the history of the church, this is what we see when stuff like this happens, whether it's a pandemic, or rather it's a natural disaster or another crisis. We see God's people step up. And instead of constantly wondering about what's going on, we see this as an opportunity to shine God's grace, and His love, and His mercy, to step up and serve in ways that we can. And we see that right now, that with everything going on, there's so many ways, so many people are open to the good news of Christ. So many people are open to His love and His mercy and compassion, not only through words, but also through actions of service and love and grace. And so that's my prayer for us, is that, again, we want to stay safe, we want to be smart, but we also want to look for opportunities in ways that we can to be like Paul and to use this circumstance to really shine God's love to to the people in our lives in very profound ways, that they too can respond just like the people on the island, like the people in Rome did, to hear the good news of Christ, to call upon him, and to receive that good news of salvation. So God bless you as God opens doors during this unique time to be his light in the world.